Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brothers Takes Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Spoilercast series. My name is Chris. I am joined once again by my brothers Adam.
Hello.
And Eric.
Hello.
And we are, of course, back in the room to continue our Rebirth journey. We hope you have been checking out our other spoiler casts, and welcome to the next one. In this week's episode, we are going to be sharing our spoiler-filled thoughts on Chapter 9. You might think, whoa, they're slowing down a bit. There's a lot to talk about in this chapter alone, and we'll also be going back over anything that maybe we missed or glossed over or didn't get to talk about in the previous chapters, or maybe we went back to some of the side content in the previous chapters. So that is to say that if you have not played the previous 9 chapters of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, if you're not at least on chapter 10 at this point, then spoiler warning. And also spoiler warning if you haven't played the original Final Fantasy VII, 7 Remake, and the compilation, because we have, and that is the lens through which we are discussing this game. But we want to hear from you guys too. So if you're watching YouTube, make sure you jump down into the comments at any point to share your take on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far. Please don't go beyond Chapter 9 in sharing your thoughts and opinions or things that you liked, because, like I said, this is in progress and we are not beyond that point. So please don't spoil for us or for anyone else who maybe jumped on here because they know that they're at this point and it's kind of safe for them to talk about what they've played so far, but we don't want to know the ending, okay? To those of you listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far. And did I tell everyone to do the thumbs up thing and the subscribe thing and the click the notification bell thing? Because you should do that. You should follow this podcast. It's fucking cool. We have good times. Please do stick around to the end, only because it's Final Fantasy related. So if you're a fan of the series as a whole, or if you like Final Fantasy 16, just at the very end, I'm going to give a quick update on the DLC for Final Fantasy 16, which was revealed at PAX East last week. But that's only a short piece of this conversation, because really, this is Rebirth Spoilercast. We want to stick to that. So let's fucking go. Adam, I feel like giving you the lead on this, right? Only because me and Eric are a little bit ahead of you.
Just a tad.
I'm starting to mix up what happened when. And I'm worried that I could go, oh, remember when this happened? And you may be like, what? And I'll be like, fuck. But you obviously can't do that. You can only say, do you remember this? And we'll be like, yes, that's okay then. So I feel like I should give you the lead on this in terms of talking about what's in Chapter 9 and where you would like to start.
Well, firstly, I went back, right?
The Casa del Sol.
Yeah.
I want to hang loose.
Went back to
hang loose a bit more.
Corel region.
Yeah.
The Queen's Blood. The dude that you fight, and then you get like a kind of a story thing going on.
Yeah, okay. Have we finally peeled back the layers on this Queen's Blood? I kept asking you, so did you just get a cutscene with Queen's Blood?
I did get him. I got that one. It's something to do with like you have to get to a certain level, and then this guy is revealed, and then you go and battle him.
Eric, have you done this yet?
Right. Okay, so it was a little bit after Gongaga when I decided to, you know what, okay, Chris has asked enough times to do. And I think within the space of a day, I went from playing Cameron, who's in Crow's Nest of Junon region.
That's the one. Yeah.
To pretty much the end in the space of one day.
Wow, you played a lot of Queen's Blood in one day for someone who didn't like it.
I still don't. I didn't clear it.
So why? And what bothered me was, because, and then I tried to downplay it. I was like, oh, it's nothing actually. It's not like it. Don't worry about it. Actually, it's not a thing. But I was like, if you discovered it on your own though, like I was just playing Queen's Blood, and then suddenly the screen glitched and this thing happened, and I was like, what the fuck? Like I wasn't expecting that. And because Adam in the first episode said he loved Queen's Blood, I kind of thought, oh, right, well, he definitely will have seen it. So then, oh, did you get the thing? And he was like, no. I was like, oh, fuck, shut up, Chris. So what did you think anyway, Adam?
Intriguing, yeah. Hard to know what the hell is going on. It doesn't necessarily have me going, oh, I need to see this through. I will, but Yeah, it's nice that there's an additional thing happening alongside that mini game. Give it purpose a bit. Maybe it came along too late. Maybe.
Yeah,
because you play a lot of Queen's Blood before you get to that point.
I think though, for me, it kind of works because I wasn't expecting anything then.
Yeah.
So then it just took me totally off guard. What did you think, Eric, when you finally got to that?
Well, that is what made me intrigued to keep going.
Interesting. Okay.
So for you, did that need to happen earlier?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
That or just make the game better. Just one or the other.
I think Queen's Blood plays well. I don't see the issue with it. I think actually now that I've gotten like really good cards in the hang of it, I'm fucking loving it. I'm like, I have you now, and then they'll do something that turns the tide, and then I have to try and think how can I turn the tide, and I think that's the fun in the game, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I've kind of gotten to a point now where I think initially I was kind of making decks to compete against their tactics. So I might lose, and then I would like, okay, so that's how they play, so I'll reconfigure a deck. But I'm now at a point where I've got my deck, and I've got my style, and that they need to react to me.
Yeah. I think I'm actually unbeatable. I'm at a point where I'm unbeatable. That's not true, but I am kicking their ass quite a lot, actually. It's fun. It's when you start getting those cards that you can swap out for other cards. That's when you can really turn the tide. Because you're like,
I barely ever use them.
They are excellent. They turn the tide
they
so
needlessly
quickly.
take up slots in your already very limited small amount of slots of cards.
But they're worth points as well. So they're and when you lose a space because of the enemy, you can suddenly swap out one of your other cards with them, and you get that space back.
I like the one.
Well,
I don't know which
I'm at the
creature it
end
is.
now, so like it doesn't really.
Oh yeah, well your system obviously worked for you, like but
I don't know which card or creature it is, but there's one that basically will destroy your own on either side of it.
Yeah,
and I really love that one because it's like, oh, that sounds fucking horrible. It'll either destroy yours or it will lower the enemy if they're beside you.
Yeah.
But what I normally do is I'll like really take up as much space as I can, kind of pushing up space. But they're not worth a whole lot. Like they're like 1 point each, kind of taking up all this room. And then the enemy hasn't got anywhere else to go, and they think they're in the win. You drop one of these bad boys down, you destroy two of your 1 pointed ones, removing both of them, allowing you to put down higher pointed ones on either side, and then you win the game. What's up?
Yeah, it's some like fucking Yu-Gi-Oh tactics or something, you know? You had that card turned over the whole time. Yeah, it's fun.
Activated my
fun.
trap
And
card.
I'm curious to see where the story of Queen's Blood goes, and if by the end of it, if it feels like it's like, did that elevate the experience, or is like, actually it would have been fine as just a card game. But I'm curious.
The only thing is, I wish the music could varied up every now and then.
Right, to hear that same like jazzy theme.
Yeah, every time you load it up, it's like there's that. It's the same start even. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I think that on the named, they're all named, but on the specific players that are sort of like, they're like the boss players, and then you'll get one of those cutscenes. I think they could have their own theme, and everyone else could have the other jazzy piece maybe.
The other criticism I would have for
vary
the Queen's Blood segments is, man, do they talk forever? They need to shut the fuck up.
Some of them,
just
just fucking play me, man.
Say what you gotta say and let me go. All right.
That to me is what the great thing about Gwent was in The Witcher 3. You just walk up and you go, Gwent? Oh yes, put down your cards. Done.
Yeah, that's what it needs. That's the update it needs.
Yeah,
just get on with the card game.
It did get an update, didn't it? Rebirth,
it did get an
recently.
update.
Yeah.
What was the update?
So there's I can't remember everything in it, but the first thing I went to straight to settings, graphics mode. Let's see what else they've added here. So there's now a new performance mode added.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I've tried it, but I'm not. There is a difference, but it's not a major enough difference they didn't solve all the issues basically.
Okay.
I'd be interested to see others do kind of a deeper dive to see like is it actually much better, but it's kind of hard to tell just switching between the two different performance modes. So there's now a performance mode sharpen and a performance mode smooth.
Okay.
But I have no idea what that means. What do they do?
Yeah.
That's actually the handy thing about when Cyberpunk 2077 gets updates.
Yeah.
You actually have, when you go into the main menu, you have a little tab that tells you
What's new?
what the updates are and what they do and what's new and everything. So, because I find the updates on PS5 games. You're like, this game got updated, and you go into, you're like, well, what was updated?
Yeah, normally
I don't know.
they release those like through their socials or through the PlayStation blog or something like that. If you subscribe to those kind of newsletters, you'll get all the updates there. But specifically with that, we've been kind of asking for another version of performance mode. Realistically, I think it might just need that kind of middle ground, kind of similar to a Spider-Man had, or was it Miles Morales? One of them had basically a graphics mode with ray tracing. They had a performance mode, 60 FPS, and then it had this middle point which allowed for some ray tracing with a higher frame rate. It was like this nice little sweet spot.
Was that like a 45 FPS or something?
Something like that, yeah.
I think I remember that. I think that was Miles Morales, actually. I don't think it was Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. I think it could have been the PS5 version of Spider-Man 1.
Right, and then probably worked on Miles Morales 2 because they were coupled together as the PS5 remaster, weren't they? Yeah. Did you go? Is there anything else that you went back to do before diving into Gongaga?
Not really. I think I tried. There was something I tried and it was just like, yeah, no, fuck that. I'll come back to it at another point, and I just kind of burst on.
Have any of you guys given like Chocobo races a go beyond the one that you had to do?
No.
In the Gold Saucer, no. I've gone back to do a few of them now, and I didn't realize how varied they were going to be. They're very varied, actually.
Oh.
In terms of like the feel, I'm so reminded of like Crash Team Racing or something like that.
Yeah, definitely has a bit.
Okay, I didn't play enough of Crash Team Racing, but other than that, it's quite Mario Kart as well.
Yeah, that's probably a very similar comparison.
Yeah,
too, so.
I mean the OG was very
kind of fun, but
like Rainbow Road Mario Kart anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I never. Do you know what it is? In the original, which obviously I love, is my favorite game. I don't ever spend a lot of time in the mini games in the original, actually.
No.
So I think I'm giving more time to the mini games in this than I ever did in the original, to be honest. And not because like they don't all play amazing here, but they definitely play better than the original did. You know, a lot of people are giving out about the way the mini games play, and it's like, I mean, they are an improvement.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not as good as they could be. I don't know, but they are definitely an improvement on the original.
I actually find all of them fine.
Yeah, most of them are fine. I don't love them all though. From just a pure, is that even a good? Like, even if you made it well, is it a good mini game? You know, it's like.
No.
Some of
the only
not so
mini game
much.
I think that doesn't play that well is Queen's Blood. It's the only one.
I can't believe you're saying that. That is easily one of the best mini. It is the best mini.
It's
game in it,
the Moogle one, right? That's probably
the Moogle
the
one.
worst
I don't
one.
enjoy at all. I think it sucks.
That's not a mini game because
It is.
that's
It's a
not a game. That's a fucking nightmare. That's a mini nightmare.
I've done 2 of the Mog Houses. Have you guys done any of the Mog Houses?
I've done them all.
You've done them all?
I've done all the. I
That
did
takes a
all
lot
of them.
patience.
It was Resident Evil is a paradise in comparison to those fucking Moogle Emporiums. They become steadily worse. That fetus baby in Resident Evil 8 is like
walk in the park. Walk in the park.
Yeah, it's a walk in the park in comparison to those goddamn flying
Not
bear
more
bats.
terrifying than Moogle's children playing and throwing bananas at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know, to be honest, I don't actually care. Let's move. Let's move on to some good stuff rather than spending like 20 minutes of the podcast on his shit. It's like, hey, did you play that? Yeah, I don't like it. Why don't we talk about the stuff we fucking...
Okay, I have one question. Then he is fighting in the Corel Desert, right? This is before you get to go to Gongaga. Did you scan all the life springs? Because those are always nice to go to.
To get the Tonberry King.
To get the Tonberry King. Did you get that, Adam? Yeah. Okay.
I did. I fought the Tonberry
King. Did you fast travel to it or did you drive to it, Chris?
I think I'm trying to remember. Do you not have to drive some of the way?
Well, I think I fast traveled really close and then I ran over because I kind of found that area.
What did I miss, or what's?
There's a piece of funny dialogue. I think if you were to drive the whole way to the Tonberry King, there's a funny piece of dialogue between Cloud and Yuffie I found it on YouTube. So, yeah,
I love these characters.
Yeah, they have really good banter. So I do like when you're roaming around with them.
Yeah,
and I think Yuffie kind of is a nice addition to add that level of banter, and I think you get more of that in the Gongaga region.
Yeah, where do we want to start?
Wherever the fuck Adam wants to start, I suppose.
Going through well, firstly, it's amazing how this was pretty much a skippable area in the OG, right?
Yeah.
This is completely optional. They've changed it to being completely optional to being so far probably the most crucial as far as story is concerned.
Yes.
I don't think...
Yeah.
Try to think back now. I don't think any other part had as much kind of story beats as this entire section, which is mad.
Yeah.
And even on your way there, I didn't... So with Gongaga, I was like, look, because of my memory of the original, I'm like, whatever, I don't really care for this place. I want to go to Cosmo, right?
Yeah.
I decided I was going to try and
skip it.
I was going to try and burst on through this, and it was just not letting me. So I didn't explore this area. This is going to be an area that I'm going to have to come back to at some point. So there's a ton of it unexplored on my part.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of on an exploration level, I would say up to this point the game was pretty damn flat. This is like Uncharted 3. Like you're like running around, like there's levels and a lot of climbing and grappling guns and ropes and there's all kinds of shit. This is an adventure game at this point.
Yes,
like a proper adventure. And it was very, very dense, very beautiful. This is one of the nicest areas so far in the game on a visual level. There's a lot of foreshadowing, I think, as well. But like even before you get into Gongaga, you're at a fucking airstrip and you're like, the fuck? Why is there an empty airstrip? And I ran around this airstrip like forever.
I didn't go to any of the... I didn't come across any of the airstrips until after I'd been in Gongaga, and of course you have to go to one.
Yeah.
So actually, when we were doing our last episode, and you said, "Oh, I got to the airstrip," and I was like, "What? How the fuck did he get to the airstrip? He hasn't even done Gongaga yet." And then you were talking about Corel, and I was just like, "Just shut up, Chris! Don't say anything! Don't say anything." So yeah, I was really confused at first, but so because I didn't go to the airstrips. I didn't have a clue.
I went up to the airstrip and I was like, huh. And I turned around and I went the way I was supposed to. Did not put any pass on that airstrip at all.
I did just like, because
this
of
is
how...
definitely going to be something, right?
This is definitely going to be important at some point. I think it's just because of like how large and empty it was. Similar to... Actually, no, there was one other point in the game that had a very similar feel, which was Kyrie? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the Junon region, her little kind of shack, right? So I went up there before that whole sequence. Right?
Oh yeah.
And it was empty. I was like, well, this is going to be important.
Something.
So I had that feel to it, that airstrip. So that was a bit unusual to have you come across that before you entered Gongaga. The score of that sequence, I have no memory of that in the original.
No, it's new.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was very did anyone else get like Avatar, like Pandora vibes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was exploring Gongaga because that's what I got. I thought the music was beautiful and really interesting and really like it felt because it's not a rendition of something from the original. It really stands out as like a really different sounding track, but it just works in the area it's in.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
kind
do
of like
agree
chant.
yeah. It's kind of Disney-esque, I think. You know, there's something Disney about it, but it's also I do agree that I think Gongaga so far is visually one of the best locations they've been to so far. I found it annoying to navigate, right? So this is I will differ with some people on this one. And I think it's just because there'll be icons on the map that I'm trying to get to, and it's not clear how you get to it. And where others would see that as a fun, like, cool, I have to figure out how I'm going to get there, I found it incredibly frustrating. Because I'd find that I was like, all right, I have a limited bit of gameplay and I want to do something before I go to bed. And I'd spend an hour just running around trying to find, and I'm like, it's right there. Where the fuck do I go? And it turns out you have to go all around the world to get to it. This was the one area where, I felt in this place that I was like, I need like a Ghost of Tsushima swipe up thing. That's what I need. That will point me in the direction that'll actually get me on the right track, because going by the map is actually putting me in the totally wrong place.
Yeah, the map is not the most helpful in this game. It doesn't really give you a sense of whether or not you're on the right track. Yeah,
yeah. I wish when you did the towers, I think I said this in the last
that
episode,
it would
when
reveal the VOG.
reveal the map, because then I think you'd have a better idea of where there are routes and where there aren't any routes.
But in saying that, because I do think the way they've designed Gongaga is fucking gorgeous. Like, it looks amazing. But I did find myself getting annoyed just trying to do the side content stuff.
Like I pretty much bursted on as quick as I could through the well, it takes a bit to get to the actual village, which is quite interesting. So there's quite a bit of Gongaga that you kind of explore even before you get to that point. The little
with those
kind
interesting shaped huts.
Yeah, and the little kind of candles lighting the way. You know, I kind of got it kind of reminded me a little bit of being in the Lost Woods in Legend of Zelda a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and trying to find your way to come across this village, and then once you get to the village, well, before you get to the village, you see the mushrooms. You're like, well, that's gonna be important. And you get to the village. Really interesting. Well, we get to see Cissnei. Which I'm not actually familiar with. Cissnei. Okay. I know she's from Crisis Core, right?
She is.
Yes. And I've played a good chunk of Crisis Core back in the day, but I don't. She certainly isn't someone that stood out to me.
So she, this is going off of Crisis Core. I won't say anything about Rebirth unless you bring it up. But Cissnei was a Turk, and she first appears in Midgar during one of your missions when like Midgar's getting attacked and you're playing as Zack, and she shows up and like helps you. She has sort of a Yuffie style weapon originally.
Yes, okay.
She's sort of a nice Turk to Zack. She helps him a lot. And later on in Crisis Core, and like we said, we did say there'd be spoilers for the compilation and stuff. She is supposed to like bring Zack in, and she comes across Zack and she lets him go. And she says, I'll give you a head start. And she doesn't report that she saw him. Like, she kind of says, you need to leave. They're going to find you. It's when Zack and Cloud are on the run. I don't know if I can't remember if she actually sees Cloud or if at that point Zack has Cloud hidden somewhere or something. So I did think it was like really interesting when she gets the video. She's like, you! I thought she recognized Cloud. But it's that she saw the sword, obviously, and was thinking of Zack.
Yeah, no, I do. I remember the character now, like, but I just didn't connect that that's who it was. I never had a name to the character, I guess.
Yeah, and she'd show up as one of the, you know, remember the slot machines that would show up in the corner?
Yeah.
She'd show up as one of them, yeah.
So I'm not really seeing why is she in Gongaga? Is she from that region?
I don't think so. And my read on this is, and maybe there's like maybe something explains it later. I don't know. Um, my read on it is that she's waiting for Zack to come back,
Right.
and she's thinking,
She'll hold up there.
I'll wait in Gongaga for him to return. Not that she, not in a like Aerith I love him way,
Yep.
just in a he's my friend kind of way, and also I'm done with Shinra kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I suppose just while she was in Gongaga, maybe she just made a home for herself there, and now that's where she is. Like,
I like the character. So like the brief scenes I had with her, just well written, cool character design. Yeah, hopefully there's more of that character throughout the game, or even part 3 or whatever. But from there, then we came across the. If you explore a bit, you see that scene with Aerith and Zack's parents, which was a little. It was kind of an odd enough scene, but I think the important thing there actually is the hidden conversation between Aerith and Tifa.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a moment in the game that's so reliant on your memory of the OG. I wonder how newcomers experience that scene. What did they get out of that, really?
Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
It seems a little bit more powerful if you remember the original. But it's cool that they're obviously going to have it, like, because, I mean, that's so kind of important.
I got reminded of season 2 in Stranger Things with that scene for some reason. And you know, for anyone who has watched Stranger Things or whatever, Nancy, the character Nancy, and her boyfriend Steve at the time, they go over to Barb's parents' house.
Oh, yeah.
I got
Right,
kind of reminded of that, where Aerith is going over, and doesn't she have a moment where she's like, "I don't even know why I went there. Like
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was hoping to get out of it, and I think I might have upset them." Sort of a thing. But there was also that kind of that selfish hope that by going in, maybe there's something there of Zack. Maybe there's like an inkling to where he's been. Maybe there's a letter. Maybe just something. And also, I kind of want to meet his parents. Like, there's kind of that moment like, I kind of like, because I'd hoped to one day meet them, maybe, because I'd hoped we would be going out and he would introduce me to his parents, and
Yeah.
so there's kind of a lovely scene, but she can't fully explain why she's there. Like, she's like, "Oh, hi, I'm Merit," and like, "Oh, well, what are you doing here?" I don't really know. I thought it was kind of well done, but yes, it requires context to work.
Yeah. I think so anyway.
What did you think of that scene, Eric?
Yeah. I like.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I know I like the scene because it adds depth to, I think, pretty much all the characters. Because we're also at this point, we have seen Zack twice now. I think at this point, have we, or once?
Yeah, it's
I
like 2 or
think
3
at
times.
least
Yeah.
twice or something.
Two or three times. So we're seeing this Zack guy, and we're like, if you haven't played the game, who the fuck is this guy? And now it's adding context that he's from Gongaga, and these are his parents, and then Aerith wanting to see him. So it's adding that context that Aerith and Zack were close. And then it's also, I think, when her and Cloud are talking in Rebirth or Remake, when she says, "You're like Zack." But when she's about to say the name, it cuts out. You don't hear the name Zack. So now this time it gets context and it fills in that she says Zack in Remake. And now the hidden secret is, what did Aerith and Tifa say? And as well as Cloud having.
I've actually forgot about Cloud's reaction when you told me that, when and it's come back to me there. Because isn't he like, doesn't he get all like, Zack guy is probably an asshole anyway. Like, he should have wrote to you, or he's definitely dead. He must be dead, you know. And there's this, and he keeps glitching as well, or getting that headache thing. And it's like, who are you telling that to, Cloud? You know, it's like, are you telling yourself that, or and he's so in denial of, you know, that I never heard of this Zack guy, you know, and that nearly hurts him more. It's like his body is at battle with itself. Fucking really interesting shit going on there. I also loved when you're in Gongaga, and when you first meet Cissnei, actually, the Crisis Core music.
Ah, so good.
Worked really well there. It was that weird thing where it's like I'm not like super nostalgic for the Crisis Core soundtrack, and yet in that moment I went, "Oh, it takes me right back." You know, I don't know why, but it just kind of did for that in a similar way. Whenever you hear any theme from the original Final Fantasy VII, I think, and it made me go, you know what? I hope at some point, and it would make most sense in like a Zack sequence. I hope we hear a rendition of The Price of Freedom.
Oh, that would be
Because
that
that would be
tasty.
really tasty and
super tasty.
would make sense to me. But we'll have to see what happens. But after hearing that bit, it's like, well, I mean, that doesn't like put the Crisis Core music like off the table or anything.
The amount of renditions in this, even with the tunes that we know. I mean, we've said this already. Actually, it's just whether it's the world exploration music to even the battle theme. There's just so I don't know who did more work on this, the game devs or the composer.
Yeah. And then you hear a theme that you hadn't yet heard being done in a modern rendition that doesn't usually get done because it's not one of like the popular pieces of music for Final Fantasy VII, like the weapons theme. I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. They're up at the like graveyard thing or whatever, and it's when they have to start running to the reactor.
Yeah.
And the music that's playing there is the weapons theme.
I did not know that.
That's a
You know, like
good.
dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
Yeah, and there's
That
a
was
little
so
bit
good.
of One Winged Angel in there at times too, which is fucking not One Winged Angel, just the Sephiroth theme kind of
Those chosen by the planet.
comes in there. It's yeah, that entire sequence getting on your chocobo and running down towards the reactor is
Had me hyped.
yeah, that's a fucking cool sequence. And I was a bit oh shit, left those three behind, you know. And you only have
Yeah.
like I have to say at this point throughout entire Gongaga region,
Yeah.
I was not using Kate Sith at all. I was like,
I was gonna ask about him because since Eric started talking about him, I started using him more,
Yeah.
and I've gotten a grasp on Kate Sit now, and I like him.
I didn't want to go experimenting at this point because it just seems so
Yeah.
crucial. I think
Yes.
when I'm in a more open space, I know Gongaga is open, but I was just trying to storm through this. I just wanted to use what I knew, and then going through the reactor. That all of that was actually really cool moment. You're following the whispers.
Can I ask, how
Whispers,
did you guys feel about seeing the whispers? Even
Fine. Yeah, that's part of the story. So let's
Okay.
follow them.
what do you think, Eric?
More kind of like what's the dealio, I suppose. But then
What's
Yeah,
the dealio?
yeah, what's-
Wispio?
what's the deal with these guys? I thought we killed them in the first one.
Well, that was my initial thought. I was like, I didn't think we'd be seeing these guys again. I thought that was the point of the ending of Remake. But then they're behaving differently here, and it seems they're very and I suppose there is at the end of Remake, you do see a shot of lots of them kind of getting sucked into Sephiroth or something. And here it seems like they're like serving him or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. So we destroyed Fate so that Sephiroth could take over Fate. Okay, that's okay. I'm on board again. But at first, when I saw them, I was like, "What are you doing?" I thought that was the whole point. I thought we got rid of these guys.
It never crossed my mind at all. It was just like, yeah, cool.
Cool thing, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if I destroyed one fiend, I don't expect there to be no more of those fiends ever again, kind of a thing. In my mind, it was that.
Oh, sure, okay.
I was like, we destroyed maybe a certain number of them, but not all of them. Maybe I don't know. I never questioned it. But going through the reactor was pretty cool. The various different scaling puzzles were working for me here in comparison to other parts of the game, and wasn't really slowing the pace down at all.
I also got Last of Us or Horizon vibes.
Yeah.
From the overgrown reactor.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Like outside,
Definitely
looked
Horizon
fucking-
for sure. Yeah.
Looked cool. Like just I really liked it.
Yeah, I just think the level design for Gongaga in general is really, really nice. I wasn't frustrated at all. Scaling anything, actually, just running through that entire area was really fun. But I think it could have been more frustrating if I was trying to explore the region. I think it kind of worked more on its kind of more linear path, which is why it kind of reminded me of the Uncharted games a little bit. Whether it's Uncharted 1 or Uncharted 3, like running through the jungle.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're like, oh, that looks so far away and I'm never going to get there. And yet, and the closer you get, it just sort of, you end up, it seems like the path you're on is random, and yet you end up falling exactly where you're supposed to be. And in that sense, that I can get that kind of Uncharted comparison. Like with Uncharted 4, you often feel like you had total freedom with the driving, and yet like you always end up doing exactly what they intended you to do, whether it's the rope around the rock thing or something,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff where it's like it doesn't look so obvious. The path isn't so obvious, and yet it is actually a linear path. You just don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's probably because of those mushrooms, because like you jump on them and there's lots of like
Yeah, it kind of tells you
forestry
where
everywhere,
to go.
but they end up sending you where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Thank fuck for them, though.
they help you cover a lot of distance.
Yeah, sure do.
They're sometimes helpful, but when you want to get to a particular watchtower, they're the opposite of helpful.
No, that's true. That is true.
That's different. That's different.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where you do have to go, do you know what, I'm going to move on and I'm going to come back.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I definitely felt that with this region. I was trying to get a few like fountains and things like that. I was like, yeah, well, I'll come back sometime.
Did we get the summon? Has anyone gotten the summon for Gongaga?
I haven't gotten the past 3 summons.
You need to change the difficulty. You have to admit defeat. You're not able for it.
I got the salmon for Junon, Grasslands, Corral, and Gongaga.
Unless there's some secret summon I don't know about, I think I have all the summons.
I'll get there eventually.
You will.
I still don't understand Phoenix.
Do you know what I wish though? I did have this as a thought. You have some summons you start off with, and some of them are obviously like optional based on what you played before, like Ramu and Leviathan. I think are if you had save files, but that means you do start off with like Ifrit, Shiva, and Chocobo and Moogle. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Just and they have 1 star, and there's a note on them that says this summon cannot be leveled up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I wish they could.
Yes.
Because when you start getting the new summons, they replace the old summons, which I guess makes sense, but it also just makes me feel like Shiva and Ifrit and Ramu, like these classic summons, have no place in this game anymore.
Yeah, but was that not the way the OG was anyway? Like the
OG was you could level up all materia, and they just worked as a summon materia, so you could
but I
max
thought
level
they
all of
weren't-
them.
They still weren't as good as like the later on summons you get.
Well,
anyway.
no, some of them, I mean, obviously they weren't going to be as good as like Neo Bahamut or fucking Knights of the Round, obviously.
50
But
different Bahamut's in the game.
yeah. But this, I just wish. I think it would be really cool, and maybe that's something they can do in part 3. But I think it'd be cool if in the world you can also find summon crystals that just make those summons better.
Yeah, it probably will be a part.
It's another thing to
but
look for
there
and
are
find.
still so many more summons to go, aren't they? If they decide to include them all.
Yeah, I mean, look, the big one is obviously Knights of the Round, which they've very cleverly saved to the end.
Do you think that should actually be 12 individual materia that you find to combine into
And you have to like build the Knights of the Round, basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they're all kind of individually low level ones that you can use mid battle.
The annoying thing will
then...
be fighting them, I suppose. If that's
well,
what
I
they decide
hope.
to do again.
I would really hope that they do away with that.
Right.
I just don't find. I find that bit tedious. It's like I've already found the shit. Just let me buy
have it now.
at least. It is very tedious with the amount of fights that are in the game already.
Yep.
A fuck ton of fights.
There's plenty of combat. And you know what? I think it should be varied up. Like, yeah, okay, maybe 1 or 2 summons you get them by fighting them, but maybe other ones you get by some like the crystals, or maybe another one you get because of a side quest you did and it gave. You know, I think if there was more variety of how you get summons, it wouldn't make it so formulaic. You know.
Yeah, 15 somewhat spruced up getting the summons.
Yeah.
In that somewhat.
Yeah. Well, the original 7 was pretty spruced up.
Yeah, it was just you have to go find
just
the
you
fucking
find
shit.
them in the world, and
Yeah.
some of them required activities, and some of them were just if you just find it.
Wasn't Ifrit? That's the first one you get, isn't it?
In the original game?
No,
Yeah.
Chocobo
No.
Mog is, I think,
Yeah.
which you get by just asking a Chocobo to dance.
Yeah. But again, it's an activity you have to do. If you miss it,
Okay.
you don't get it, you know?
Okay. Ifrit's the first one you are always going to get, isn't it? Like you
as
get
in
that
you have
from
to get it for it?
like you get that from Genova on the ship.
Is that the one that Sephiroth pegs at you? Oh no,
Sorry, I'm sorry, he does what to you?
oh yeah, no, you climb, don't you? You climb a ladder on the ship, and you go down to the end, and it's just there on the ship, isn't it? Ifrit.
Oh, I thought maybe I thought it was actually like dropped after you defeated Genova.
No, I think you can get through the entire game without coming across a summon.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you can miss them. You have to actually go and get them,
okay, fair enough.
which is that's the way it should be.
So in this game's the same. Yeah, you have to go get them and then fight them, and then Chadley's all like, "Well done, I've developed a new material." Shut up, Chadley. Try to fucking save the world here.
Anyone like Chadley yet?
Well, that's definitely a sentence that needs to be in the game. Reduce the amount of times you can speak.
Did any of you get the one where he ends up turning Mai down?
Yes.
Yeah,
I got a
think
clip
so,
where he
yeah.
did that, and he was like, "She is so annoying, isn't she?" And I was like, "Chadley, don't do this thing where it's like, oh yeah, we'll agree with each other, and now I'm on side with you. Like, I see what you're doing." That's what the kid who used to get bullied does, and then the new kid comes along, and the kid who was bullied goes up to the bully and go, "Hey, that guy's a loser, isn't he?" It's like, it's just that he doesn't get bullied anymore. Oh, I'm joking. But anyway, speaking of fights, how did we find the boss fights in the Gongaga Reactor?
Fucking tough, actually. Like, so I prepared. Well, I didn't actually prepare. That was my problem. I just kind of was like, okay, here's a spot. Let's buy up some potions and shit, and let's go. The normal little drops were easy. I don't know what you call them, but the experiment things.
You got to kill him with fire, right?
Yeah, super easy. Then you get the boss, and I'm like, fuck yeah. No, he
was tough.
He gave me a hard time. So I had to equip those revival earrings and rethink my summons. Take some materia away from my other 3 and add it to my. Turns out that was a mistake.
I always use the revival earrings.
I forgot about them. I totally forgot about them.
On everyone. I do not use any other third item thing. Always revival earrings. That's all I use.
I actually did not once for the entire game use the revival earrings. I actually equipped different accessories.
Yeah, I had the bangles. Not bangles, the like other earrings and charms and things like that.
Yeah, I don't even equip them. I just
Do you equip anything?
No, I equipped other stuff. Really, like the power bracelets for Cloud, so he does more strength, and I gave survival vest to Barrett so he had more health and that sort of stuff. I equipped on them so that they kind of were varied, and I was doing up the stats more so than revival, because I was just thinking with revival I can use Phoenix Downs. I think that's the first time.
Yeah, the problem is though when you don't get an opportunity to even cast a Phoenix Down.
Yeah, true. Or you have a boss that has a one-hit kill that kills everyone.
Yeah, that's all. True. That was a lot of the issues I was having with.
Gets you back up, yeah.
This guy.
This guy I think was the first time, because I was playing on easy. This is the first time I was like, "Fuck, the fuck's going on here? Why is he tough?"
Sit up. I was playing on dynamic at this point, and yeah, I had to drop the difficulty.
This was the boss that pushed you down.
Yeah,
because you were telling me that you needed to. Yeah,
I had to. Yeah, this boss fucked me up so bad.
So the first fight with him, I was like, yeah, that was tough. It's weird that this is one of those games where I kind of I'll play it like I'll fight a boss, and if I get killed fighting that boss, I tend to just turn it off and walk away. And not so much a rage quit, just more of a I don't want to. The boss fights are so long that it almost felt like so much effort that by the time you get to the end of the fight, you almost have him, and then he wipes you out. It's like, okay. So when I came back at it the next day, I reassessed my gear, which is why I like playing on the difficulty I'm on, which is like it forces me to have to actually use my shit, because I get too comfortable with my setup, and I'm now rethinking my materia, applying the revival earrings, changing out my summons. Second time, he didn't stand a chance. Then we get to now the party switches. And now I'm playing as the other three. I'm like, fuck, I just removed all their shit. Now, you can take it all back, so that's not that big of a deal. But I didn't know what was up ahead, so I didn't.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes. Well, just before we go further then and get into like the Scarlet fight, for example, another gripe I have with the game happened in this Gongaga thing. I got beaten by that boss.
Yeah.
Right? Got my game over, got my options, and I misread it.
Oh no, they're all shit. All the options are crap.
And I went restart from checkpoint.
Yeah.
And I ended up so far away, like I hadn't done anything in Gongaga. Like it went all the way back to the village.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah.
So I had to do the entire going through the reactor again. I was pissed. And from then on, I've been incredibly careful about which option to hit. But I'm like, that should be clearer. That's not like
from battle,
a checkpoint to me.
You back
to like the start of the fight. So to me, I thought restart from checkpoint. I thought was going to be where the bench and the potions thing was.
Sure.
Just before the fight, and I was like, great, I'll go back there, and then I'll get the gear I need, and I'll go back in.
Yeah,
that was my thinking.
The checkpoint thing, it doesn't make any sense. I think restart from battle though is not good enough either, because if you want to readjust things, then you're straight back into a fight. So that happened to me too. A restarting from checkpoint brought me all the way back to Gongaga Village. So I just went in load game and reloaded my autosave just before, which is actually the bench. Which is so stupid, because you shouldn't have to. There should be another option, which is load from save file.
I'm so mad.
I'm
more mad now than I was. That I did not think of that.
There's a fight that I did. Fight hasn't happened yet, but there was a couple of phases to the fight. You know the way Final Fantasy likes to do that. You know, you fight it, and then a video happens, and then you're on to like the next phase. So, anyway, this boss fight had a fair few phases, and the boss did kill me. And I saw that option where I was like, checkpoint. No, I don't want to do checkpoint. I want to go to the start of the fight. So I clicked the start of the fight, and I was like, that's grand, because it will go to the next phase. It'll just go to the start of this phase, and I'll fight it, because that's the battle. And I went all the way back to the very start of the fight, and this was a long ass fucking fight, and each phase was fucking long, and I was like,
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. But anyway, yeah.
What do we think of
not as bad as your checkpoints.
No, fuck's sake. What do we think of the Scarlet fight?
Well, it was really fucking cool to play as Tifa navigating down through the forest and then up through the thing. It was really cool, like kind of ninja level shit. And it was cool one of the strengths of this game, I think, is that unlike the original, this does force you to use multiple members of the party. And your player perspective completely changes, which is really neat. Then we get into that Scarlet fight. Fucking hell. That was tough. That was tougher than the fight that came before it.
Yeah, that was sweaty bum time.
And I wasn't equipped at all for that fight. Because I didn't know it was coming, really.
Yeah. We need more heads ups.
Yeah, that'd be great. But
the music was fucking.
The first time I was fighting, it was like, okay, I'm going to take out the weapons and stuff like that, and then changes weapons, and the second set of weapons absolutely annihilated me. So I was like, grand. So on my second go, I won't focus on the weapons. I'll just focus on the main body of the mech. Doesn't really matter. She will still change weapons halfway through the fight. But I did have the revival earrings. I put auto cast healing on Aerith.
Yes. That autocast is actually excellent.
You need it. It's absolutely needed. And then make sure I switched summons around so that I could have Ramu. Gave everyone some form of lightning attacks, and it was still tough, but managed to get there in the end. It's a long fight too.
Yeah. It's one of those great like big spectacle fights. It reminded me of like kind of like the Airbuster in Remake. Like it just had that kind of epic music, and like it was just a big show-stopping kind of fight. I fucking loved it.
The only thing though,
also,
I am getting a little bit tired of mech fights though in this game.
Yeah. There's a lot, and it seems like it's like that's like the go-to of like if we need a boss fight, we're just throwing a mech or an aerial enemy, and it's like we could do it a little bit more variety, but yeah, it is what it is. The sequence that follows after is probably the highlight of the game so far.
Yeah, the kind of Anakin Skywalker moment is pretty cool. But you know what? Cloud is such a Chad.
What?
He's such a Chad, bro.
What do you mean?
Dude,
no wonder he's friends with Chadley.
It's just like, dude, how many times do you have to pretend to not remember just to get Tifa to flash it, bro? Like,
oh yeah, come on, Cloud, stop now.
Yeah, at this stage, like, come on.
Tifa, would you stop flashing him? It's clearly not working. You're clearly distracting the guy. Yeah. He's like, now I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah. But
this just has those like Men in Black kind of lights underneath her top. Don't remember a thing, Tifa.
I don't remember what we were talking about. I was I supposed to kill you?
Yeah. What the fuck just happened? Do that again.
But I think this game recognizes something that is actually it is in the original game. And a lot of people forget about it because a lot of people play up to a certain point in the original and then stop their playthrough, and they don't keep going. Tifa is as like people always say like Aerith is like the hero of the story. Tifa is as much the hero of the story.
Yeah,
I mean, Tifa plays such a pivotal role in the story.
It's just how early the sequence comes into the story now.
Yeah,
just like thrown in there.
Cool. Eric, what did you think of when Cloud went to the dark side and started mowing everyone down? And
fucking awesome, because it was like he was kind of like there's slightly hints, there's hints of it. He's kind of like he's getting a little tippy. And at this moment, you're like, oh shit. He tipped right over the edge, and we're not near the end, so is he going to be doing this more? And then him slicing at Tifa. And I was like, did not expect that to happen. And then her falling to Mako, and I was like, oh shit, she fell into Mako. She got Mako poisoning. Is Tifa going to die? That was such a great moment and a much needed moment because we had so much poppy happy crap happening beforehand, and I was like, I need some depression right now. Thank you.
It's like we need some drama and some I fucking loved it. I loved that she was like begging him to stop, and he was like reciting exactly what Sephiroth had said to him. He had the blood splatter on his face. He did the Sephiroth pose with the sword as well as he was killing, which was really fucking cool. Because and even when like Tifa is like in that space, right, and everyone else is like reaching out to her, and she could see them, but then she's reaching out for Cloud, and she sees him walking and following Sephiroth. I love that shot. It was such a. And she was like, please don't take him too. I thought that was just fucking amazing. That Cloud doesn't realize the path that he's going down. It has me so excited to see what else happens.
The only part I didn't like of that sequence, which, you're going down, you're now Tifa in the live stream, essentially.
Yeah.
Is the flashback moments weren't as powerful, I think, as it was in the original, probably because they appear more as kind of specters rather than the full colored memories that we saw in the original, like seeing the Cloud's clothes and Tifa's dress at that moment when they were kids felt more real than this. This felt a little bit more like, well, is it even real? Because it's just kind of appearing as a kind of a specter a little bit.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as strong, I think.
Yeah, and I wonder, because this scene, while it's reminiscent of a scene in the original, it's a new scene actually.
Yeah.
Because it's playing Tifa's memories, not Cloud's. So I wonder when we get to doing Cloud's, maybe we will.
It'll all come to color.
Yeah, like maybe. But I thought it was really interesting that they're showing this already, and it was like, maybe eventually when we get to do it with Cloud, Tifa's like, I've been here before, I know how this works, kind of a thing. Also, I thought the music there was fucking incredible. It was like,
cool.
It was like Interstellar.
So these are new weapons then.
That's what I was saying in the last episode. I was saying that this is definitely not Emerald.
Weird.
They look a bit like Sin.
A little bit.
They
like
do
little
look a bit like Sin.
baby sins.
I think Baby Sins.
Yeah. And there's like good whispers.
Yes, and there's a battle going on the live stream. Loved the shot that when Sephiroth, first of all, he went straight for Tifa. I was like, you cop on to yourself, stop. But he put the sword in the weapon, right? And he tried to like go up it, and it actually gave him a bit of resistance. And he kind of looked at it for a second, and then with his other hand, just pushed the sword straight through. I thought it was fucking cool.
Yeah, very like the way Cloud kills Bahamut Sin in Advent Children.
Yeah.
Was very.
What do we think is going on down there, huh?
Ah, fucking shit, shit's going down.
You got to read on that, Eric. You got to read on what's happening.
Well, I mean, actually, back to what did you say, Chris? Where Sephiroth absorbed whispers at the end of Remake?
That's what it looked like.
So maybe that's the case, and maybe actually what Adam was saying, well, where we killed one Arbiter of Fate, but maybe there's a few more. So maybe Sephiroth absorbed one, but there's still another one that exists, and so they're now battling for which version of fate is going to happen. Maybe. I don't fucking know, but
yeah, it looked like there is a battle going on in the live stream. Where Sephiroth and the planet are actually fighting while our party are on their journey this whole time.
Yeah, like he's this virus and they're the antibodies trying to take him out.
He's Agent Smith.
Kind of. Well, he actually is in a way, because he can take, much like an agent, he can take over anybody that has the Genova cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is essentially what was happening to Cloud. So yeah, he's so fucking cool.
Very good.
He's so scary when you start thinking about those possibilities, though, like how powerful he actually is, and that he can be anywhere in that planet, really. Makes him a much more dangerous threat than just the guy with the big sword.
I don't know if we're going to actually see the Cloud's version of that backstory, because I'm wondering if they're now thinking about, look, there's a lot to cover in these games. There's a fuck ton to cover. So where will it make sense? Places like Gongaga, which is missable, and there's a couple of places like that which are kind of optional in the game. You don't have to go to them. Can we combine moments that must happen with areas that don't need to happen? And this looks like that they were looking at that as an opportunity, although it happens much later, to bring it forward into the story a bit more, especially at this moment, which really needs it, because up to this point there's kind of nothing happening. And that's kind of one of my questions, is from a new player, someone who's not played the OG, is there enough happening here to keep you engaged? This is the chapter that's going to really hook you in, I think, because there's a fuck ton happening in this chapter.
Yeah, loads.
And then once we're kind of finished with this moment, I think Cloud was let off the hook a little bit too easy.
For sure.
He was.
Yeah.
I actually liked the scene where Barrett went up and slapped him in the face.
Yeah,
but
good.
I kind of was hoping for more from him, like what the hell is wrong with you? And like, you're crazy. You nearly got Tifa. And then I think there is an element where not everyone saw exactly what happened.
Or they're kind of aware of what's happening to him and feel sorry because of the hooded people they've been following the whole
Right,
time.
they've already felt sorry for them. This is like you know in Harry Potter when Harry is about to reveal that he's a Horcrux, but the way he says it is, I think I've known for a long time, and I think you've known too, to Hermione, and Hermione just cries and goes, "I'll go with you," but they never actually say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's an element of that going on here where it's like Cloud kind of knows because of the way he's behaving, and the rest of the group knows, but nobody's saying it.
Yeah.
It's like,
The rest of the
I
group,
think you are one of them.
I still think Tifa was probably just a little too easy on him. Like, there's a way that you can be easy on someone but still a little bit kind of scared or disappointed in them, and I think they didn't quite balance that well. They tend to brush over a lot of the more difficult situations in this game, I find. So it does get, like, I would say once they finish that bit and they're in that little house and Cissnei comes in, it's like as if, okay, the script, we have to get to Cosmo right now, so how do we do that?
They kind of rush it there, don't they?
It's like, I know,
I
we'll
do
go to
think
Cosmo.
I agree with you that Tifa trusts him very quickly after that, and should be a little bit more traumatized by it, and it would add a little bit more drama and tension to it. But I do love their scene. It's a really tender, intimate scene. I liked Cloud admitting that, like, finally, that he's like, I actually don't know who I am, and I remember things I shouldn't, and I can't remember things I should, and that Tifa was like, I will help you through this kind of thing. Like, I liked all that. And then there's that funny teenage banter of, like, Yuffie and Kate sit at the door going, kiss. You know,
They almost
like,
did.
You do. But you're rooting for it as well. It's like, you get to a point where you're like, it's nearly like fucking Sawyer and Kate and Lost. Where you're like, just kiss already. Like, come on.
I was actually, I actually during that scene when Yuffie was like, "Go on, kiss," and they didn't, and I was like, "Fuck's sake, Yuffie! We've been waiting for this since 1997, and you've fucking gotten away."
Yeah, I thought you were going to move the scene where they spend one night together, and everyone watched. Do you remember that? That's in the original. They spent a night together, and the next morning, everyone says something or something. And Tifa's like, "You guys watched?" And she's like embarrassed, and she runs out of the room. And Cloud just like shrugs, like,
I'm a Chad.
Total Chad. I just told her I couldn't remember her scar again.
Chad Strife.
Every time.
I did actually.
Chad Strife.
Actually, on the banter of the group, when you're kind of exploring Gongaga, and I think you get, I don't know if it happens before or after the reactor mission. Is this when you get all the side quests? Does that happen after the reactor?
You get a few, after the reactor, I think.
Yeah, and I think there's a moment. So it could be before you're getting side quests, or it could be before you go into the reactor. There's a moment where you walk into Cissnei's house, and Yuffie is lying on the couch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she's singing her little song, but she's singing it to her tune, and I was like, that's so funny. I got her to sing it again, because like that's so well written and so well sung, and that woman is ridiculously talented, that actor, like, because she does those songs a few times as well.
Yeah.
To different tunes.
And some of them sound like they could have been improvised.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole cast here is great. Yeah, Adam, you mentioned that they kind of rushed to like, well, let's go to Cosmo Canyon. Okay, I know somewhere you can go to go. Here you go. But before we get there, as you mentioned, Eric, there is some side stuff that opens up here. Adam, did you get around to doing any side stuff, or did you go, no, fuck that, I'm going straight to Cosmo Canyon?
I did one Queen's Blood, and then I left.
Okay. All I could say is it's a really boring side mission, but I would recommend when you go back to Gongaga eventually, and there's really, like, I would even only do this maybe in the end game or something. Like, it's not that important at all, but the one at the chickens is worth doing. That's all I could say.
It's a nice one, actually.
It's a nice one.
Yeah.
Other than that, some of the side missions in Gongaga were actually kind of boring and tedious. But I did enjoy. I always did a proto relic one. I've been doing them in each and every region because I want.
I still can't
to
get
the
past
end
that
of
one
that side quest.
the Junon region.
the Fort Condor.
Yeah, I can't get past it.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
tough.
giving me a fucking
Fort
hard
Condor
time.
is tough. Apparently, the new update actually gives you difficulty options for some of the mini games specifically. So apparently, you could change the difficulty of Fort Condor, but not the difficulty of your game.
Very cool. Very cool.
So maybe that's worth looking at. I don't know, but
Gongaga is actually the only one I didn't finish because I couldn't. There was an
Proto Relic,
area.
yeah.
There's an area I had to go, and it pointed to a gate. I went up to this gate, and I was like,
I know.
"Oh,
I had to-
it
I
doesn't
had to-
open."
I had to Google it.
Yeah, I was like,
I had to
"Oh,
Google it. I didn't know where to go.
It doesn't open." So I maybe I'll come back to this later because I think in Corel, the proto relic missions they stop. And I was like, "Come back later. I'll have things sorted." It's like, "No problem, you weird ass looking kid," and you go off and yeah, I'd imagine they'll come back later. So I kind of thought to myself with this Gongaga one, oh, maybe I have to come back to it later. So I'll go off and do the other thing to get to Cosmic Canyon. And
Well, there's definitely going to be an opportunity to come back and do all the things.
Oh,
Anyway,
you can,
you know.
and even if you
Yeah.
clear the game, you can come back and.
It's
do
just
it.
getting
So
more
it's-
expensive.
Yeah.
More expensive to go back.
yeah, it is. I think of the Proto Relic quests I've done so far, the ones in Corel are my least favorite. I don't really get why. It seems like a mishmash of weird ideas, you know.
did you do any of Corel's Adam?
No.
No,
Oh, it's bizarre.
it's just bizarre. It's just
I
a
don't-
weird idea. But
I
anyway.
I think I don't know who they got. They must have got someone else from some other company. Maybe from like Nintendo to come in and make this Proto Relic quest. It is does not fit into this world at all.
Yeah, every aspect of it is a bizarre choice to me. But the rest of them I actually love. I really, really dig. So anyway, we get to the airfield because we're told to go find a free flyer pilot. I found it really hard actually to do the side quest stuff because I was like,
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I know who the fuck that is, so let's go.
I want to meet him.
Yeah.
I want to sit down, shut up, and drink my goddamn tea. But I didn't get to do that. What do we think of our introduction to Sid Highwind?
Very interesting. Again, bringing something much closer. Obviously, we'll see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's annoying every time you do the fast travel with him and he's like, see you soon, and he's just gone again. And I kind of wish he was stuck around that you could actually chat to him maybe. Because at this point in time, I know he is, but I don't think he should feel like he is. He feels very much like an NPC.
All right. Okay.
I don't think he feels like this guy is going to be a party member. And in that sense, I'm very disappointed.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they've. I don't.
Well, I've only seen him this once, like, so
I know.
can't,
I know. I'm going off this once, by the way. I'm
Alright.
going off this bit in Gongaga. I'm going off like as an introduction to Sid. Like, you moved the scene. Was it worth it? I don't think it was. I think we could have found another way to Cosmic Canyon. I still would have liked to have come across this drunken captain at Rocket Town who's like, I hate everything. Just smacking tables and shit. Go, what the fuck do you guys want? You know, like, really unreceptive to you. And this guy seemed real happy to see us, and I don't know. I'm just
what if
curious to see where it goes.
What if it does end up that way anyway, and now it's much more. Oh shit! Like, I mean, you were so nice to us before. Like, what's wrong?
Yeah, maybe that'll happen, and that could totally turn me around on it, and I could be like, oh my god, it was genius. They nailed it, you know. But just going off the first, no, I mean, I think the voice acting is good, and he looks great and everything.
Have we got much airstrip? So far now, I've seen an airstrip in the Corel region, which is
And an airstrip in
very
Gongaga.
close to Gongaga anyway, so that's kind of weird. But have you seen any other airstrips anywhere else?
Yeah.
Cool. You're
Yeah,
gonna fill me in on that?
Well, I suppose
they
actually.
all have one. They all have one.
Well,
Where's the
okay,
grasslands
so-
one?
I haven't a clue.
I haven't flown back to the grasslands because
That's what I mean. Like, when I was running
fast
around,
travel,
like
but-
when I was running around, went to Corel, I was like, "There's an airstrip that's going to play a role."
Yes, yeah, I
and
get what
then
you mean.
Obviously, there's Junon, so there's
Junon has an airstrip,
That has an
obviously,
airstrip.
but we didn't really notice it because it was like
Well, that's so well integrated into the design. But
Into the-
now,
yeah.
thinking back to how ways we can fast travel, that's where we would arrive. Where's the grasslands one?
yeah, I
It's
don't know. I
my-
haven't flown to the grasslands.
My thinking is it's quite south. You know, you have the swamp area here, but then there's a body of water, and then there's a little curvature of land, which probably none of us went to because the only thing down there was a fiend fight that we would have never done.
I went down there, yeah.
Adam did
Well,
everything.
I will.
Well, I
stand
did
corrected.
everything in the grasslands. So the only thing I can think of is that there is an area closer to Midgar that we haven't come
maybe.
across yet.
Maybe it was blocked off and now is open or something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
probably something like that.
maybe it won't be open just yet. Because, if you want to get to the grasslands, I suppose you could just fly or sail to Junon and then get a cart to the grasslands.
Or you
It
just
costs
pick
you
the
some gil,
icon.
though.
You pick the icon. Once you're on the continent with Junon and all, then you pick the icon in the map that says, and you go walk, and it just ends up there. You don't need to use the carts or anything.
Are you sure? I think you do.
No,
if
you
you're
don't.
in Junon, I think.
I'm
That's
fast
you can
traveling
just fast
all
travel.
over the place. Are you kidding me?
Okay, cool. Though you can
Yeah.
actually get the ferry.
I know you can,
You
yeah.
can choose the ferry to end up in the grasslands.
Yes, yeah.
Boy,
But
you did a lot more going back and forth than I ever did. I was just like, keep going, keep going, keep going.
I just wanted
well,
to test it, see how can I do it? Can it be done? Do I need to?
What did you guys think of Sid?
I thought, like, I knew it was him when he came out and he was very happy. I was like, ooh, I don't know if Chris is going to like this.
Right.
And I was a bit like, you're presenting him as a main character, but at the same time, is that also because I know he's a main character and not necessarily that he actually is a main character, if that makes sense? Like, I know he's going to be a main character because I've played the original and I've watched Advent Children and all that sort of stuff. But for a newcomer, is this presenting him as a main character, or is this going to confuse people and make people think they're spending an awful lot of time on this one random chap?
Well, I think he's probably given as much attention as Cissnei and.
I think that's my point.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that could be from a newcomer's perspective. That could be quite interesting because you're
Well, I
not
suppose-
you're not expecting him to become playable, and then when he does
Yes,
become
yeah.
playable, it's like, well, that's cool. I had no idea that was going to happen.
I
Yeah,
suppose,
I
maybe.
think my only other thing with it was that it's like, if you're going to introduce him early, why isn't he playable? Like, if the whole reason is like, oh, him and Vincent aren't playable because
Because
they
you
don't come
need
into
a
the
way
story.
to fast travel at this point. That's
No, I
it.
know, but-
That's his only
but-
function.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, if the whole reason was they're not playable because they come too late into the story, but they moved Sid earlier, then it's like,
Yeah, but he's
well,
busy.
not too late in the story.
He's
you know?
busy.
I'm just saying.
The story
wanna
doesn't allow
play-
for it yet. He's busy.
I want to play as Sid, okay? Yeah, I know. Okay, he's busy. Did you just like the tiny Bronco?
Yeah, it looks fucking cool. I wonder, will we
Nice.
get an opportunity? Time will tell. Actually, I don't know. Maybe you know if we can use that as a little boat.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Um,
Because the initial kind of flying of it, I was like, "Oh fuck, do I actually have to fly this thing?" But
Oh, right,
that
right,
was
right,
kind of nice actually seeing it. 'Cause it's kind of a proof of concept that you could. We could get to a point where we could fly this thing.
yeah, yeah.
It's
You know,
pretty
the
neat.
high wind. The high wind
Yeah.
will happen. I liked the music there too. I thought it was like really. It was the high wind music. I think it was
Yeah.
a rendition of that. So it was like, oh, fun. Yeah. Am I right in saying as well? There's a cutscene towards the end of Gongaga chapter with
Roche.
Ojo and Roche.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I was like, fuck yes.
It's gonna be some
Fuck yes.
weird ass boss we're gonna have to fight later.
Well, I was just like, this is the kind of shit I want you to do with Roach, actually.
Yeah.
I think I would have been more compelled to see Roach in this game had that been a scene in the ending of Remake. Because you'd be like, oh, how's that going to affect him, you know? But
Yeah.
having it here as well was just fucking, like, cool.
Yeah, I kind of wish though that You know when you fight him in the gold, is the gold saucer, or was that in? No, sorry, that was in
It's in Junon.
Junon. I wish he was totally, just completely broken morally from that fight. That he didn't come away with that going, yeah, that was grand.
Thanks, buddy.
And
yeah.
and then he obviously offers himself up for this experiment because he wants revenge.
Which is
or
it's gonna totally change his character.
Yeah,
which I think is exciting.
Maybe it won't.
You can't go, maybe not, but you can't go much further with the whole, yo, I love you, bro, and like they can't do much more with it. They kind of have to do something else. So I was excited to see that scene. Did we get any Zack stuff at all in this chapter? Have we seen any more Zack stuff?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. More Zack to come. Right, well, is there anything else then in the Gongaga chapter that we haven't talked about that you guys would like to talk about, or in the game so far?
I just bring on Cosmo, baby. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, okay. Cosmo Canyon, here we go. There's going to be, obviously, in our next episode, Cosmo, and depending on where else you get to, we shall see, but I have a feeling you might end up in Cosmo for a while.
I'll try
Big
not
place.
to.
It's a big place. I did find, just a heads up, I found similarly to Gongaga really hard to find your way around Cosmo for any of the side stuff.
Okay.
Just so to be prepared for that. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna knock out a few sites, like you kind of need time. Like I found it really hard to navigate. Maybe it's just me. But yeah, again, similarly like multi-layer designs and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, I thought, like, by looking at the map, it looks like that's right there, but actually, it's like, you need to go all the way around to get there, stuff like that.
Okay.
So, just to be prepared for that kind of thing. That's all I'll say on that. Eric, was there anything else you wanted to talk about the game thus far?
No, well, other than just, I think we brought it up earlier, that big moment in the live stream with the weapon, Tifa being inside, Sephiroth attacking, and those two boss fights was very needed because yes, there is the story of this game, especially so far, is literally just follow the black robes. That's it. That is the story so far. It's that and characters.
Yes, yeah.
The characters and their stories are the story of this game so far. So that was a good moment to kind of go, oh, hold on. This is actually what's at stake. This is why you're following the guys in the black robes. So it's a nice little reminder.
Yeah. Well, we want to hear from you guys who are listening what your personal highlights or thoughts are on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far from chapters 1 to 9, with particular focus on the Gongaga chapter. We were able to really deep dive into that one, but there was a lot to talk about. It's very meaty. It's not just side content. And then go to point A and point B. Like there was actually like some really important story moments in that chapter. So it was great to talk about it in that way. If you guys watch the YouTube, make sure you jump down in the comments to share your thoughts. If you enjoyed this discussion, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell for all future Spoilercast episodes on Rebirth, because we will be continuing this journey, and we do want to hear from you. And to those of you who listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so far. Just before we finish up, and just because we're talking Final Fantasy, and I do think that there's going to be a lot of people who are playing this game that are also fans of Final Fantasy 16. There was an update on the DLC that's coming for that at PAX East. It's called The Rising Tide. It'll be focused on Leviathan. And it's releasing on April 18th. So there already was a DLC for this that released around Christmas time called Echoes of the Fallen that was more like a new dungeon with like a combat focus. This one is a story-based DLC. And what they revealed about it at the panel was that you're going to a new continent called Mysidia, I think it was called. Looks gorgeous. Some of the scenery looked fucking amazing. I was actually like, wow. Like there was like a huge wave that had been frozen. So maybe that's from like an ancient battle between Shiva and Leviathan or something. So there's just this huge, massive wave of ice that's like captured Looks fucking cool. Obviously, Leviathan abilities will become unlocked throughout the course of it. So that will be fun for anyone who enjoyed the combat of 16. And then there is a new party member that's introduced in this chapter as well that gets added on. And I'm sure there's like side quests and things like that in here. And all we know of the story so far is Clive receives a letter from the dominant of Leviathan asking for help. And he goes to investigate because obviously he's shocked because Leviathan is lost. Nobody knows where Leviathan is. People think Leviathan's dead in the story of 16. So then it goes from there. So I'll definitely be jumping in to play it. Myself and Eric played all of 16. We did a spoiler cast on that just while we're on spoiler cast and stuff. We did a 2-parter because that was a big beefy game too with Mr. Craig Perales from Last Call Gaming. So both those episodes are available on our podcast and also on their podcasts. So check out Last Call Gaming, but also if you want to listen to those podcasts in the meantime while you're waiting for us to continue our Rebirth journey, then go look up the Brothers Take Final Fantasy 16 spoiler cast. 2 very lengthy episodes, but we cover as much as we could in it in terms of like the story and all that stuff. But that's all for the update on Final Fantasy 16. Eric, do you think you'll be playing it, or have you?
I saw the trailer of it, but then after you're like, I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then the way when you were talking about it, kind of what's entailed in it, I'm like, maybe I will check this out.
Yeah, I'll
we'll
definitely
play both of
jump
them.
into it. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, if I haven't finished, if I'm not done with Rebirth by the time it comes out, I'm not stopping Rebirth to do it. I'm still playing Rebirth. But I'll definitely come around to it eventually because I'd be interested to see more lore for that world. But that's about it. So, again, love to hear from you guys. If you're interested in that DLC, Final Fantasy 16, let us know that too. And again, share us your highlights for Rebirth. We'll be back to continue our spoiler cast for Rebirth next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.